This is gonna be a mess, but we're doing it anyways. Hello, my lovely friend. It is Margaret, and I am here to nerd out about goals. I like making lists and checking things off of lists. Am I also willing to throw the list completely out the window and redo everything? Y'all have seen some of my TBRs, you know what happens. But I really do like making lists. And that is why I have been a bullet journal junkie for the last 2 years. But this is not a video about bullet journals. This is a video about my reading goals for 2018. What's happening today is I am going to go over please ignore the fact that I did not do anything with this spread. I was supposed to have my books I'd read in it. Didn't happen, but I did keep up with this guy. So I'm gonna go over my 2018 reading goals, and then I'm gonna talk about how I am adjusting or changing those for 2019. The first goal, the big one, was to read 100 books in 2018. I have to say, I smashed that. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that in like November, I had to up my goal to 110 books because I was already at 100 books. I actually ended up running out of room on this guy because I finished my 123rd book last night on New Year's Eve at like 2 seconds to midnight. I mean, we were cutting it real close, guys, real close. But I did finish all of my books in 2018 that I started in 2018. I finished them. My best reading month was December, clearly, because I got through 15 books. Blame that on Cassie Clare. My worst reading month was October, but I don't regret it because it's Strange the Dreamer's fault, so. The second goal that I set for myself in 2018 was to read 6 writing books in a year. I was supposed to be reading 1 writing book every 2 months. I read 2. We stopped, hold on. I read 1 in March and 1 in September. Whoops. I was also supposed to read 10 nonfiction books last year. I got all the way up to 9, so I'm a little mad. I wish I'd been keeping better track because if I had known I only needed 1 more nonfiction book, I probably would have read 1. Then I was supposed to read 12 books that had been on my shelf for more than a month, so basically books I bought saying I was going to read them, and then I didn't read them. I made that goal. I'm very proud of myself. I made that goal. And then my final goal from 2018 was to discover 25 new authors of color. What that meant was each one of these guys is a completely different author that I read. Like I didn't do any I couldn't count series marathons. I actually ended up discovering or reading from 26 unique authors of color, and I am upping that for next year because considering the fact that I read 123 books this year and only 26 of those, well, more than 26 because I read some series, but like I only discovered 26 new authors of color, we need to step our game up. So look, isn't it gorgeous? It's so nice and it's ready to be filled in. So there was a sneak peek at my 2019 goals, but I'm sticking with reading 100 books in a year. I feel like that is something that I can accomplish. That's something that I can do. I feel like that's an attainable goal. I don't know, there are some things that are going to be a little bit up in the air, so I don't know if doing 125 books would be a feasible goal. I'd like to do one that's kind of attainable and then readjust as necessary. I'm sticking to reading 6 writing books, so 1 book every 2 months. And I'm also sticking to reading 10 nonfiction books in the year. I probably will read more than that. I'm hoping I will read more than that because I do want to, there's just stuff that I want to know more about, and nonfiction helps with that. The knowing more stuff. So I am doing 2 things because I want to get rid of some of this, you can't see it, but I can see it. I want to cut down on some of this physical TBR that I have, and I also want to cut down on my virtual TBR. So I'm again doing the 12 books from my shelves, and I did not up that because, hold on. The reason I did not up that is because I have this guy. Now this currently only has all of my physical TBR books in it, but I'm going to be adding my ebook TBR and some of my Goodreads TBR. Not this month, not this coming January, because I already have that. That's set. That's been in planning since the beginning of December, honestly, at this point. But starting in February, I am going to be picking 1 of this color and then 1 that is either from my ebook TBR or a book from my ever-expanding Goodreads TBR. So basically, it's going to be 2 books from my TBR that I'm going to be reading a month. Hopefully. My hair is doing strange things. Hold on. Okay, we're fine. Toss, toss. The next goal I have is I'm upping from 25 authors of color to 50 authors of color. Now this time I am counting, like every time I read a book by an author of color, I'm counting that book because I want to be able to go through series and not feel like I need to be jumping around and making sure, like I read a whole bunch of Julie Kagawa books, but I could only count her once last year. And then my final goal is to finish 5 series because I have been very bad about finishing series this last year. There's so many series. I mean, it doesn't help that a lot of the series that I'm really into right now, the next book is not out yet. I am going to be going back and like finding series that I enjoyed and haven't completed yet, and I want to make sure that I read them and complete them because I have quite a few sitting, I have a couple sitting on my my physical TBR shelf that need to be finished. And like one of them is one I know I really enjoyed, and if it goes the way I think it's gonna go, I've only read the first book, but if it goes the way I think it's gonna go, I'm gonna really enjoy it. But I don't really have any other bookish goals except to stick to what I was doing with my book buying, which is basically deciding now which new releases I am actually going to purchase, which ones that I absolutely need. For example, The Wicked King and whatever the 3rd book in the Arch Enemies trilogy is, because we don't have a title for that yet. Like those books, and then not purchasing books outside of that. It's gonna be a little difficult. It's not technically a book buying ban, but I find that like where I really get hurt is when I do the impulse buying. So we're gonna try and cut down on the impulse buying of books. Can I still do it though if it's at a thrift store and they're like 75 cents? Let me know down in the comments, what are some of your 2019 bookish goals? I would love to see what you are aiming for. Let me know, how many books are you planning on reading? Do you think 100 is crazy? Do you think 100 is a little bit low? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. I make videos 2 to 3 times a week all about books and writing, and I would love to see your lovely face here on a regular basis. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter. Those are both at the word nerd with a 3 in nerd instead of the E. That is it for now, my friends. I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!